So we've got the SleeperGTP up here, we've got Suzie Q up here. We're gonna lift these cars up. We're gonna take a look at all the differences between the two as far as how this one was put together and then how we're doing that one. We've never had a good opportunity to actually look underneath this car and see what all is going on. It's a little bit of a mess, but again, this was kind of the first time that I'd ever done something this extreme. So you'll definitely be able to see the differences between how this one was done compared to that one as far as maybe the quality of work or the type of fabrication that was done, but you also see the similarities, obviously. Another exciting thing that I want to show everybody is we got these shirts. So it's got the Autotech Tyler logo on the front. It's obviously got the two cars on the back doing the donut. I think they turned out really well. You know, I designed this whole shirt myself, sat down for hours on end, basically learning how to do a vector drawing of the top of the car and so on and so forth. So if you're interested in picking up one of these shirts, they come in all kinds of different colors. The print quality is really well. From what I've found, Printify, the people that I've actually gone through, they ship things out pretty quick. Put a link down in the description below so that way you guys can check these out. There's gonna be hoodies, stickers, hats, everything else. So give it a look. Let's get these cars lifted up and see what all is going on. We already know that this car has the straight axle in the back of it using that Ford 9-inch with the Mustang style upper and lower control arms. A little crude in the way that it was put in there, but it does work. We're gonna have to do improvements on the way that the coilovers are at their angle. They really need to be straight up and down, so we're gonna have to make new brackets and whatnot to get all that sorted out. On SuzieQ, the nice thing about it is it's got that whole rear cradle that actually goes up into the back of the car and has that independent suspension. So that helps with a couple different things as far as putting this all together. Number one would be that we don't necessarily have to clearance as much for the drive shaft. So what that means is the drive shaft obviously isn't moving up and down like it is in the straight axle car, to where we can run exhaust in a much different way, and we also don't have to go as high up on the tunnel of the car to allow for that drive shaft to have the amount of room that it needs. Now the next big difference between the two, just in the way that it was done, is that the red car is using kind of just a flat piece of 1/4-inch steel for its cross member. Very low profile, tucked right up to the body. Hopefully it doesn't get in the way as much as the black car's square tube cross member that it has. You can see that the exhaust has gotten completely flattened out on the bottom just because of how low it hangs. I don't know if the red car is going to have that same issue. Hopefully we can just raise the ride height on the black car a little bit, help that out. It's already clearanced itself enough that it doesn't scrape as bad anymore, but obviously we don't want the flattened out restricted exhaust on this thing. So something's going to have to change with that. If you look at the front of the cars, you'll notice they still both use a McPherson style strut. The black car has the coilovers, while the red car has just the factory struts for now, but it'll eventually get coilovers. The key difference is that the red car is using kind of this dual lower control arm setup versus the single A-arm that the Grand Prix has. Now, the Grand Prix is using that F-body K-member, but I didn't configure it in the way that it would use the upper control arms and the spindles of the F-body. So right now we need to get the red car lifted up, get the drivetrain dropped out, and then start getting all of the finishing work done so that way we can seam seal it all and paint it. Well, we got the floor and the firewall all sealed off, so everything's seam sealed, POR 15. Turned out pretty good. We still have a little bit of stuff to do right at the front of these bars for where the seats sit to reinforce that cross member, but that's not going to be too bad. We have to do all the stuff under the car from right here back, which is why we didn't touch any of this. And then we still have a lot of work to do on the far back piece where the back seat is. And then obviously we're going to undercoat the entire thing with that POR 15. And I'm pretty happy with how the engine bay turned out too. Overall, it looks pretty good. Obviously once the engine's in there, you know, you'll just see kind of parts of that. But once we get it back down to a place where we can do the 220 welding, we'll get the rest of the stuff welded up here in the engine bay, and we'll start welding in all the pieces that we need in the back to get the car a lot more rigid. Don't forget to go down in the link below to check out the t-shirts and all that stuff, because I think they turned out really well. I'm going to end up adding more options later on, so just keep an eye out for whenever those pop up. So I guess that'll be it for this video. We're going to get this thing thrown back together, get it moved, and I'm going to take a break. Could be like, you know, ideally we'd be ripping donuts in this thing by the end of the year. But who knows?